Hey stream, we are on the air. So, what are we talking about today? So I wasn't able to watch live the PC gaming show or the Sony presser. I only caught like the back end of the Sony presser. So I'm going to give my thoughts on the Square Enix presser and the Ubisoft presser, and I'll probably do the other two, the PC gaming show and the Sony presser. I'll do those tomorrow morning or early tomorrow morning, based on how I feel like sleeping tonight. So we'll see on that. So to start, we'll start on the Square Enix presser. Overall thoughts on the Square Enix presser. Kind of going in, I expected quite a bit. Square Enix hasn't done a presser in about forever, like an official public presser. I know they've done some like ninja background pressers just for the press. Well, I believe they did that around when they were announcing Final Fantasy XIV or something like that. There was a time where Square Enix was doing private pressers for the press rather than out in the public. This was more a canned presser a la what Nintendo does with their Nintendo Directs. But going into it, we've known for a while that Square Enix they have a lot on their plate. Much of their plate has been chewed up by trying to fix Final Fantasy XIV, and we're finally getting to a point where they're past that, and we get to hear about games that have been in development since the mess of Versus 13 and 14, and we get to hear like actual games being announced and released, rather than hearing about, hey, we're still fixing these games, we're still working on these games, give us time and we'll be there. So I expected a lot out of this presser. I ended up a little disappointed, to be honest with you. First, they kind of sped around the conference. Their presser was only like 30 minutes. I think it was actually shorter than Devolver Digital's meme press conference, which Devolver Digital actually did announce a game, but their conference has always been kind of just a meme-tastic press conference meant to just kind of be a joke. It's fun to watch. I'm not gonna hate on it, but it's not actual like gaming news. Not serious gaming news. But back on topic, the Square Enix presser. I expected a lot. Didn't exactly get what I wanted to hear. But we'll start and kind of give our takes as we go along here. To start with, the first game they showed off was the Shadow of the Tomb Raider. They showed a quick trailer of it during the Xbox press conference, which is a theme you're going to hear a lot. It looked really great. What they showed this time, they had significant amounts of gameplay, particularly focused on stealth gameplay, and I thought it looked great. I almost thought I was watching a Metal Gear Solid game, the way they were showing the tactical stealth options that you take in the game. So whereas previous Tomb Raiders, I felt like we're kind of taking more from oh wow, I'm completely blanking on this. Uncharted with Nathan Drake. This felt more like they were pulling from a Metal Gear style of stealth combat, where you don't want to get into direct combat with your enemies because you're just never going to be able to get out. It's always one versus infinity, and the numbers will eventually just run you over, and you're not going to be able to do the task you were set to accomplish. So there was a significant push on that gameplay trailer for stealth combat, silent takedowns, and it looked really smooth, it looked really good, and I was impressed. To be honest, I've always been kind of impressed with Crystal Dynamics. I think they've done a great job with the Tomb Raider franchise, and they've handled it very well. And I hope the game does well. I'm hoping Square Enix kind of tempers their expectations for this particular Tomb Raider game, because I know the last one, despite being an excellent game and selling really well, apparently just didn't sell enough, which is shocking to hear. But I'm hoping their expectations are more in line, and I wish the game good luck. I'm probably not going to buy it. I have enough games on my plate. I've really narrowed down my games list, but it looks good. I expect good things from it, to be honest with you, the way they move the game towards the stealth combat. Moving on, they had so they added on to this, the Ultimate Adventures of Captain Spirit. So this is developed by the same team that did Life is Strange, and the way that they were describing this particular game, this game is going to lead into what they're calling the second season of Life is Strange. So this is a free game. You can download it for free whenever they release it, which I believe they said they were releasing in June, end of this month, June 26th to be exact. It's going to be free, and it'll connect the 2 seasons of Life is Strange that they have planned out. I think that's a really cool idea. I applaud them for it. This looks like wholesome gaming experience 101 to me, and I like wholesome gaming experiences. After this was the next big title that they had to show off, but unfortunately we didn't get to see as much as I liked on it. The game's called Babylon's Fall. They showed a lot of kind of lore to it, kind of the universe that it's going to be in, but they didn't really show any gameplay. But from the world and what they showed, it looked very Dark Souls-y to me. Soulsborne, whatever you want to call it. Maybe a little more leaning towards Dragon's Dogma, if it's more action combat oriented. But yeah, it seemed to be that was the direction they were going. So if you're going to go in that direction, they're working with Platinum Games to make this game. Platinum Games is always beloved by everything they touch is just gold. Everyone loves Platinum Games. It's unclear if this is going to be made by the same team that did Nier Automata. Again, that's Platinum Games as well. I kind of doubt it, but we'll see where this is going. I don't know if we're going to hear much about it anytime soon, but I have my ears to the ground on that one. It looks like an interesting universe they're creating, even if it is just a Soulsborne ripoff style game. They showed Just Cause 4 weather. There's weather in Just Cause 4 now. I don't have interest in Just Cause 4, but I'm just gonna pass on it. If that's your thing, it's your thing. Next they showed The Quiet Man. So this was just a quick trailer that they showed. Well, actually, it was both live action and what looked like CGI, like overlapped combined. But a deaf guy goes and beats up some guys on the street. There really wasn't much else to show there. It sounded like they have more info on that coming out relatively soon. It seems to be an action game. There's really nothing else to say. The main character apparently is deaf, and it's an action game. I believe the exact words that have been described is an immersive story-driven cinematic action experience seamlessly blending high production live action, realistic CG, and pulse-pounding action gameplay. Yeah. That's actually word for word what it says here. I'm trying to figure out how many buzzwords can I put into it. That's like all the buzzwords physically possible. I'm moving on now. So they also showed the new update coming for Final Fantasy XIV, Under the Moonlight. It's a new. So they showed Stormblood, which is the new expansion. Under the Moonlight is a new patch coming for it. And they showed they're going to do a crossover with Monster Hunter World, which that's interesting. I played Final Fantasy 14 back when it was in beta, and that was the trash beta. Like, that was when the game was absolute trash. Like, I'm thinking that was probably at least 10 years ago, somewhere along those lines. Like, it was definitely like early PS3 days, but that game was bad. It was really bad. Um, and I did try to get back in when they did the Realm Reborn, because I was allowed to for free. So I played Realm Reborn. It's a good game. It's a good MMO. They've done a lot to make it good, and they're going to continue to do a lot to make it good. But I'll go ahead and move on from here. They showed a new trailer for Dragon Quest XI, along with English voice actors. I'm definitely going to get the game. I'm a pretty big Dragon Quest fan, and I'm always upset when it kind of gets, like, degraded when it comes stateside with a handheld Nintendo release. I know people, like, really are high on that, but I would kind of like getting, like, the actual releases. I've kind of wanted to play Dragon Quest X, which is an MMO, for a long time now, and we're just not going to get that game ever. So I just had to live with that. But they showed Dragon Quest XI, which is coming out for PS4, Xbox One, and apparently it's coming out to Steam as well, which I was like, well, that's interesting. But yeah, I'm gonna get PS4 version. I'm probably gonna like the game because it looks really cool, and it's Dragon Quest. It was a little. Going back to Dragon Quest X, was a little miffed we didn't hear anything about it. I was kind of secretly hoping that we'd get Dragon Quest X, and we didn't. But another thing people are kind of miffed on about, apparently we're not getting the 3DS version of Dragon Quest XI. I don't know, I know people want to get their handheld versions of Dragon Quest XI, but that's an entirely different, like, graphic design game. It looks like it plays totally different. I'm actually not interested in that at all, and would totally take the PS4 version over the 3DS version. It's kind of interesting when it comes to Dragon Quest, because outside of Dragon Quest VIII, I believe, they've all been like re-releases for Nintendo systems. So Dragon Quest IX was for the DS. I don't think it was 3DS. I think that was original DS. And then they did the remakes of the I guess quote unquote trilogy, which is Dragon Quest 4, 5, and 6 all came out for the 3DS, I believe. 4 might have been DS, but I think the rest were 3DS. And Nintendo handles all the publishing rights for those, so they have some agreement with Nintendo to release those. But yeah, we're not getting the handheld version of Dragon Quest XI, and if we are, we're getting it like way late. I believe that there is a Switch version of Dragon Quest XI in the works, but that seemed to hit a development rut, apparently. I don't know if that's actually coming out, or whether that's a real thing anymore, but apparently porting it from PS4 to Switch was causing problems, and it's unclear at this point if we're still going to get the Switch version, or if the Switch version even exists anymore. I'll have to look up on that myself. And then this is where it gets a little weird. Then the last thing they showed at the press conference was the trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3. Oh yeah, and they showed a trailer for Octopath Traveler. But the last thing they showed was a trailer for Kingdom Hearts 3. And it was the same exact trailer that they showed for the Xbox conference. That was really confusing to me. I don't know why you would do that. Why, especially, like, the final thing you're going to show off in your press conference. I'm really down on them for that. This is something that happens a lot that developers just need to stop doing. When they have their own press conference and they're offered a spot in the press conference of a major one of the three big major press conferences with the Microsoft, the Sony, and the Nintendo press conference, that they're just like, this is free ad time, we're going to put something in here no matter what. And they put something they already have in their own presser. Like, developers need to stop doing that. It's not building the hype that they want. It's not building up the brand that they want. They're better off either just saying no, or, as they actually should be doing, come up with a new trailer to show off. Even if it means cutting down the trailer in your own press conference. Just give something new. Make people go out and look for more information to generate their own hype. It's not that hard, yet everyone kind of makes it hard. Yeah, so that was how it ended. That was actually it. That was everything. That was all they had to show. I believe the top comment was, "Where was Final Fantasy VII?" I'm with you. I don't know where that was either. There was a image that made its way around the Reddits that showed a picture of what looked to be from Final Fantasy VII, and there was nothing. They didn't show anything. There was a lot of disappointment to go around here. They didn't show off any new Switch games outside of Octopath Traveler, which we already knew is coming out in like a month. None of their new Switch game, nothing on Switch. All games we pretty much already knew about. The only really new title was Babylon's Fall, a new trailer for Tomb Raider. It was very disappointing to me that this was just kind of how it was. I don't really have other things to say. I expected something and was given nothing. Especially considering the fact that Square hasn't done a public presser in like forever. I feel like they could have taken the bits that they had and just thrown it into the other presser and thrown it in the Microsoft and Sony pressers, and it would have been nice. But that's that. I'll go ahead and end the talk on the Square Enix presser. A lot of people were like totally shitting on it and saying it was worse than EA. No, it was not worse than EA. They actually showed a new game. EA did not show a new game. EA didn't show gameplay. It was bad. It was bad. I know. I give you that. It was not a good presser. But yeah, it wasn't nearly on the level as bad as EA was. EA needed a good presser, and they just fell flat on their face. Square did not need a great presser, but they look really questionable not having one at this point. Alright, so moving on. Next was limited run games. I'll quickly talk about them because I like what they do. So for those who don't know, limited run games, they essentially publish digital only games from indie devs and smaller developers to get small print runs around like either 2,000 to like 10,000 copies of a game, which that's a tiny ass print run. Sometimes the games on their print run they'll sell for like $35, and then the next week they're selling for $100 on eBay. I kid you not. But they get a lot of really nice titles. I've picked up a few from them. Most notably Fury. What was the other one? Oh, Shadow Complex from Epic Games. Yeah, Shadow Complex is another good one that I picked up from them. They're great for doing Metroidvanias, small quirky games, but they had a few things to announce that caught my attention. One being that they're going to do a physical print run on Valhalla. Can't remember the exact title on that game. It has a really weird title. But it's the cyberpunk bartending game. They're going to do a print run on that. Keep your eye on that. That'll probably sell like crazy. The other one they called out, they finish up with, oh man, I always get the name of this one wrong. But Elysium, shoot. Dust, an Elysium Tale? An Elysium Tale? I always get this title wrong, and I feel really bad about it. Let me quickly look it up. Oh, damn it. I'm not gonna find it, am I? Oh, Dust and Elysium Tale. There we go. Ooh, I feel bad that took me so long. So Limited Games is going to do a print run of that for Switch, which I am day oneing. I'm day oneing. I don't think they have a date on that yet, but it's, yeah, that's an easy insta buy for me. But that was their keynote. That was when they ended with. But in my opinion, that wasn't even the biggest announcement they had. The biggest announcement that they had was they had acquired the licensing rights to localize, at least the parts of it that haven't been localized, the console version of House of Fata Morgana. A lot of people probably don't know about this game. It's a visual novel that was released by Manga Gamer like years ago. There's a special edition of it, I think, that just came out recently, but the console version has even more content. They're releasing that for, I believe, PS4 and Vita. This is probably the best visual novel pretty much ever. And a lot of people have not heard of it. A lot of people have not played it. If you like Phoenix Wright, if you like 999, if you like that whole series, you need to pick this up. It's the best visual novel pretty much ever. I really don't care what you think. That is my opinion, and a lot of people agree with me on that one. And I know a lot of people. Trust me. So I'll end that on limited print run games. They have just a shitload of announcements to make. I'm not going to waste my time going through all of them. There were a bunch notable, but those were the three that really stuck out to me. I think they also are finally doing a print run on Golf Story. If you haven't already played Golf Story, it's just a fun game. Somehow really funny. This comedic game. They'll do a print run on that. I think there's one more notable that I am forgetting, and I feel bad for. I don't have notes for it, and feel bad for the fact that I don't have notes for it. But I kind of sped through that, and that was about that. So I'll end the talk on limited run games, and we'll finish off with the Ubi press conference. So I'm going to just go ahead and say Ubi kind of blew me away. Ubi had a great press conference that could have been even better if it wasn't for the leaks. And we'll get to that when we get to that. But that could have been one of the best press conferences of all time if it wasn't for the leaks. But, so we'll start off. They started off with a dance number. So I was instantly like, oh, great, we're getting Just Dance out of the way early. So they showed Just Dance 2019. And by showed it, I mean they just did a dance number and was basically like, this game exists. Like, they didn't even talk about the game. They just did the dance number, the name of the title showed up, and everyone walked down, and we moved on to the next title. That was a good way to handle that. That was a really nice way to handle that. But I'm going to add on a little extra thing. I found out later, that title is coming out to the Wii. The original Wii. I'm not even joking. They somehow convinced Nintendo to do another print run on a Wii game. That disc is Nintendo property. Like, they have the designs for that. You have to go to them to ask for a print run. they actually convinced Nintendo to do a print run on standard Wii disc. I couldn't believe it. It just blew my mind. I'm just gonna let it go. So after that, they showed Beyond Good and Evil 2. We all kind of expected a trailer. I didn't really expect a lot of gameplay. Just kind of thought we'd get another trailer. But they did show some like early pre-alpha gameplay. Like there's nothing to take out of that besides the fact that the world is humongous big. But so they showed a trailer for it. It's, as they revealed before, it's going to be a prequel of sorts. And it sounded like it was originally going to be well before the original Beyond Good and Evil. But at the end of this one, they showed Jade. Okay. Yeah, I'm interested. Showed some old faces too. But yeah, I mean, they're not. Ubisoft is always going to get an applause for any time they bring up something from Beyond Good and Evil. People who love that game will live and die by it. And it hopefully, my hope is when they actually do release it, they do some sort of collector's edition that includes like a remaster of the original game or a digital download card for the original game, so that way people can kind of experience the universe of Beyond Good and Evil, because it's been a long time since that game came out, and I'm not sure a lot of people actually remember anything about it, like at all. Because it's been so long since I've even seen Beyond Good and Evil. I don't really know anything about it. Joseph Gordon-Levitt was on stage. You can look at why he was on stage later, because I wasn't paying attention. Trials, a new Trials game is coming. The main highlight for that is that it's coming to Switch, because gaming is better on Switch. People love Trials. It's if you like your like make your own custom tracks thing, if you like creator content, then that's a game for you. Next, interestingly enough, I thought this might show up last, but they decided to put this like smack dab in the middle of the presser. They next went to the Division 2. I thought that would have been a keynote that they would have finished with, but they decided to put it in the middle, and most importantly, they went straight to gameplay. We got a trailer. They went to gameplay, they did a talk, and they went to another trailer. There was a good bit of gameplay in there. I was pleased with what I saw. I was pretty pleased with what I saw from the gameplay. The big takeaway was what I kind of said yesterday during the Microsoft presser, that some info was starting to get out on the Division 2 and what is going to be included on it. They confirmed 8-player raids. We knew raids were going to be in it, but 8 players was kind of just a rumor going around at the time. It's going to take place in DC. DC's under effect of global warming now, and apparently everything's going crazy. There's going to be 3... So they also mapped out their planned content drops. You can look at it. I'm sure the picture is floating online somewhere of what exactly they are planning. But I saw 4 title updates, 3 to 4 major events. Whoopsie. Whoops. I saw 3 or 4, like, what they called world events, whatever that means, and 3 content drops, 3 major content drops, expansions, DLC, whatever you want to call it, in between all of those. So they're going to release the game, have a content drop, or release the game, have their first big update, their first big title update, which if you're doing these games for service games, this is what you should be planning. You release the game, you have your literally week after mega bug fix, like stuff that's game breaking within the first week you need to address, and then within the first 2 to 3 weeks you need to address any significant issues with the game that is causing you to bleed users. So, kind of to put it in Destiny terms, one of the things that was bleeding users was there was fucking nothing to do. The game didn't have heroic strikes. The raid hadn't even launched yet, and people were just done with the game. That was more a content issue, but it could have been fixed with something like loot that people could have actually gotten, but wasn't there. If they could have quickly addressed this, then they'd still have people playing the game. But as we have seen with Bungie and Destiny, they are totally unable to rapidly adjust to the needs of their users. Or not really the needs, just what their users want. So it seems from the plans of Ubisoft and what they plan to do with the Division 2, they have taken that into account for the release of this new game. The way that they were talking about it, and constantly their lead developer, producer, executive, whatever we want to call him, I forget his name, the way he talks of the game, there's a significant focus on endgame content. After you've beaten the game story, what are you going to do? And that In my mind, from what he said and what I have read, the game is being developed backwards. They make the end game content first and work their way down from there. I'm perfectly fine with this. I'm not going to play your story more than I play your end game content. I don't think there was much else hinted during that. They showed their live demo with actual people playing it later. Anthem, do it. They showed the map. They showed the map of DC, so everyone can now go look at that map and try to diagnose everything physically possible from that. The big takeaway here for Division 2 is Massive and Ubisoft have, I hope, figured out what they did wrong, and everything they're saying sounds like they're trying to address everything they did wrong with the original release of the Division. I've played the original Division. I ran through the story. After I beat the story, there was the Dark Zone. I did the Dark Zone once. I thought it was dumb. I didn't like it. And I didn't do it anymore. And there was nothing else to do. You can't have that. You can't have that. You have to have content for people to do after they have beaten your story in 3 days. Even if it means that this is something to do that resets every week, you can do that, and with your friends. It's got to be better. Also worth noting, it sounded like PvP and Dark Zone. They're going to have both PvP and Dark Zone. My understanding is that the Division has PvP and Dark Zone right now. It's just not that good. Hopefully it's better. PvP always kind of seems really bad to me, especially in the Dark Zone. Just like you get, from what I've seen previously, I haven't seen in the past few months, you just stack up HP and you just run at people and run them over. Also worth noting, they're changing the way bullet sponge enemies work. Enemies aren't bullet sponges anymore. They have armor. You have to knock off their armor now, and then you get to their HP. So you have to do certain actions to make them vulnerable, which is how combat should work on high-end enemies. You shouldn't be able to run them through with your gun over and over again until they finally die. You need to run a strategy of some kind. You need to hit them where they're most vulnerable, exploit weaknesses. That's how you make interesting games, and I was incredibly pleased to see that in their demo. Oh shoot, what are you doing? Okay. My notes page blew up. After that, they did a little musical to celebrate the release of the Donkey Kong DLC for Mario and Rabbids XCOM on Switch, which still blows my mind that this is an actual game. There was a hot mic. There was a hot mic. Somebody complaining about they had changed how the entrance works. I love me some good hot mics. Hot mics are the best. So after that, they showed off Skull and Bones. For those who don't know what Skull and Bones is, 2 years ago, I believe it was. It wasn't at last E3, but it was announced at the previous E3. They showed off what was being called. It was pretty much really early in development. What they called Skull and Bones. To explain the birth of Skull and Bones, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag had ship combat, and it was really cool, and you could literally just live off doing nothing but ship combat in Assassin's Creed 4, because it was just that much fun. It was so simple, and it was so much fun. I got so much joy out of playing that. So after the success, damn it, I died again. So after the success and how much people enjoyed that, I know there was some sort of an evaluation, a review of some kind, just like, I can't remember where it was at or how this got out, but they were asking what people thought about ship combat in Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Would they be interested in playing a game that was exclusively ship combat in Black Flag? So that's how Skull and Bones got created. It was essentially they were going to take Black Flag ship combat and turn that into an actual game. which, based off the trailers that they showed when they first revealed the game 2 years ago, that was literally what it was. It was actually multiplayer, where just a bunch of teams. It's basically World of Warships, but with pirate ships from the 16th and 17th century. That was pretty much the game. This time they showed a little bit about the lore of the game. It takes place in the Indian Ocean. I kind of expected it to be in China Sea, but I don't know why I expected it to be in the China Sea. Probably because it's being developed by their studio in Shanghai. But it's going to be in the Indian Ocean. Apparently, all of the pirates have been driven out of their lands, and now they're all in the Indian Ocean, going after ships coming in and out of India, the Middle East. Going in the, I don't think Suez Canal was made during the time this game takes place, but that's not important. So in this particular game, they've changed a little bit of what it was. I kind of expected when they first showed off the game 2 years ago, it seemed like it was just like straight up multiplayer combat. You make a ship and you go into combat, and it essentially really was World of Warships. But now it's different. What were the exact words that were used? There was a phrase there. There was a phrase. There definitely was a phrase. It's not in my notes. Ah, crap. Essentially, the game is going to be a games as a service developed game. If you haven't noticed, this is something that Ubi has been pressing heavy on. This is probably the 5th or 6th game that they have developed that's going to be a games as service model, a game that you play, a game that you pour money into. It can literally be a game that is the only game you ever play. And what's nice about having this developed by Ubi is that they have a mild success record of these games now, between Rainbow Six, For Honor, The Division. They kind of have an idea now of how to develop these games, how to plan for these games, how to keep the games rich with content, and just keep moving forward. So it's going to be like that. You get your ships, you get to customize the ships. They showed some ship customization, strategizing. You raid merchant ships, you get loot. You get attacked by warships now that you've raided these ships, and you need to get back, and you get attacked, and hey, give me my fucking purple ball back. God damn it. That was rude. Speaking of raiding shit. But yeah, so it seems like it has more of a Destiny-like value to it rather than a World of Warships style design to it. I'm interested. There's a beta to sign up for. I'll probably try it out. I'm getting the feeling, based on how they talked about it, that I'm probably not going to like it as much as I think I will. I'm hoping that there's a good bit of competitive multiplayer in it, that there's a lot of creativity that can go into the game. But I'm willing to give it a try. I don't think they gave a release date for it. They might have just said 2019. Yeah, I guess they just said 2019. I'm pretty sure it's not coming out this year. But yeah, something to keep your eyes on if you're into these games as service style Destiny, Division style games. Next game was Transference. It was the game that they're working with Elijah Wood on. It's their VR gaming project that they're working on. I don't know what's going on with that game. It looks like a horror game. It's coming out really soon. I don't have much else to say about it. We'll see where that goes. Oh, and Elijah Wood screwed up a teleprompter. This is what actors do. They don't read off teleprompters. They showed Starlink, which is their Skylanders toy line, their new Skylanders style toy line that they're working on. They have a partnership with Nintendo, so Star Fox is going to be in it. It's going to be on Switch as well. Yeah, it's Skylanders. I really don't have anything else to say. Next, this was a surprising one. This was something that didn't get leaked. For Honor is getting a new expansion, DLC, whatever you want to call it. That's adding it's adding a handful of things. So the big thing that it's adding is a new mode called Breach, which it's a castle siege. One team's going to defend a castle, the other team's going to attack the castle. So it's a one-way objective game type for people to try out. And coolly, the other new thing that they're doing, and I believe that is going to be free. That's coming when this new expansion comes out. The expansion itself, Marching Fire, they're adding a new faction in it. It appears to be a Romance of the Three Kingdoms inspired force. So it's a Chinese force. They showed a handful of the fighters. If you like For Honor, you're probably gonna like this. I never tried For Honor, despite how interesting it was, mostly because my friends weren't interested in it at all, and that kind of depressed me. So I haven't played it. But it looks really cool. The other thing, for this week, you can get the PC edition for free. What they're calling the starter edition, you can get it this week for free on Uplay for PC. Which reminds me, I need to go pick that up. Let's see. Okay, so I guess we can move on to the last thing. This one, after they showed this, I realized how unfortunate this was for Ubisoft that this got leaked. But they actually showed a significant amount of gameplay for their new Assassin's Creed game, Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Takes place in Greece, seemed to be themed around Athens. Looks like they're building off of the successes of Origins, probably using the same engine as Origins, and just doing better. There was wow, that was a really high jump. I wonder what I did to do that. But yeah, so they're building off Origins. It's going to be a significantly more RPG themed game, apparently. That was something that came up a lot during their talk, was that there's going to be way more focus on it being an RPG. I have to wonder, where did this idea of making Assassin's Creed an RPG come from? I really don't know where that came from. Maybe they were just inspired by The Witcher and thought Assassin's Creed and The Witcher are similar games. I don't know, but more power to them. I like RPG systems in my games, but it just feels really weird that this game suddenly changed to be an RPG. So some notes on the game. You can choose between a male or female protagonist. I'm assuming it's going to change the story somehow. Maybe if they're really crazy in the way that Persona 3 changed when you switch to a female protagonist. Spoiler alert. In Persona 3, the main character dies, but if you switch to a female protagonist, you live. Yeah, I just spoiled the shit out of that, you guys. I feel bad about that a little bit. Just a little bit. So some thoughts on what I saw at the game. The game is actually well into development. So well into development that it's launching in October. That's a stupid fast turnaround on a game. This game's been in development for a while. I get the feeling that they were developing this and Origins almost at the same time, and they decided to release Origins, they both have similar systems, release Origins, and whatever issues people have with Origins we're going to address in this next game. That's kind of how I see it. Assassin's Creed Origins had issues. A lot of people thought that there were issues with the RPG progression system, which is something that they took notice to say that they were working on a lot. But one of the issues that I heard a lot was that combat was just bad. Like it was not fulfilling combat in Origins. It was just keep hammering the swing button until your opponent goes down. Style of this is lazy development of combat. Like you can play Dragon Warriors and do this, or Dynasty Warriors and do this. Just kind of silly combat. From what I saw, looked a little better. Looked more responsive combat, maybe, kind of. I hope so. We'll see. Maybe. I guess I'll leave combat there. It looked better than Origins. The other thing they added, it seems like there's going to be more customization of the story. So they had BioWare style conversation trees from the look of it, like literally ripped right out of a BioWare game. Between what do you want to answer to this person? What do you want to tell them? That's cool. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say there. That's cool. We'll see how that works out for them. I mean, to be honest, it's looking like a really good game. But I did have one major concern or question, really.
Take a look.
This is part of the Assassin's Creed franchise, people. There wasn't much assassinating going on in anything there. It was pretty much straight up combat. Like one-on-one, you stand in front of me, combat. I don't understand how Assassins and Templars kind of fit into the story at this point anymore. It's been a while since I've actually played an Assassin's Creed game. I think the last one I played was actually Black Flag. But yeah, it was. I expected a little more stealth gameplay, and that was not there. In fact, part of the trailer was just a straight out war slugfest, where you and an army were fighting another army, and you had to go fight the general and beat the general up. But yeah, that was pretty much that. It looked really good. I was impressed with it. There's supposed to be ship combat again. We're bringing back ship combat, but ship combat during that age is really different from what Black Flag was. Ship combat without cannons is a little different than ship combat with cannons. So we'll see how that looks. I mean, and before anyone gets on my case, yes, I know they had cannons, but let's be real. We're way before the actual development of sophisticated cannon technology. But yeah, the game looks good. I'll probably pick it up. I'm leaning on picking it up. But I was leaning on picking up Origins. I'm mostly just waiting for it to go on sale for like $20 before I pick it up. So yeah, just waiting on that to come out. I'm interested because the big thing is that people keep calling it a sequel to Origins. Like, is this a direct... Are they talking more spiritually? A spiritual successor, like running same engine, like we've kind of been discussing here? Or are we talking like legit straight sequel? Just food for thought there. But like I said, I'll probably pick it up. But kind of going back and looking broad overall of Ubisoft press conference, I'd like to point out again, had Assassin's Creed not been spoiled, this would have been one hell of a press conference. To come out and announce that the new Assassin's Creed game is coming out in less than 5 months. Yo, that's a hell of an announcement, bro. But they got spoiled on, and it kind of ruined their parade for the big highlight of their presser. Sorry. But yeah, this was a standout presser. Ubi had a killer presser last year, and this was just as good, if not better, in my opinion. Probably even better because of how they showcased what the Division is going to be. Yeah, I'm happy. It's a solid A. Like, could have been A+ if it wasn't spoiled to death. But it was a great presser. There was content for all the games that they currently have that people want to see. Showed improvements being made across the various franchises they had, showcased the new franchise in Skull and Bones. There really is not much to hate here. You can hate on Just Dance all you want, but that game's coming out for the Wii, so you have to at least laugh. And with that, I think I'll cut off this particular talk. So I'm going to go ahead and watch the two press conferences I missed, the PC Gaming Show and the Sony press conference. By then it'll probably be like 2:30. I don't think I'm going to want to do another one of these at 2:30, so I might just post it up early and tomorrow morning before the Nintendo presser that I'm mega hyped for. So I'm going to get back to watching those and start posting this up now. So I'll see y'all later.